Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, happy lunch. Hopefully you're not waking up to this, but if you are, I hope it's a great start to your day. We'll get started in just a minute. Again, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our pre-MBA webinar, Level Up, Explore How an MBA Can Change Everything. My name is Sarah Dewar. I am a program manager here at Forte and really excited to get kicked off with some amazing panelists and their experiences as you maybe navigate your MBA journey, whether you are MBA curious, you just heard of an MBA, or maybe you've been in the thick of the application process for a while, you're just looking for some extra motivation or confirmation that an MBA is the right next step for you. I'm so glad that you are here. Before we get started, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Forte and who we are. Again, welcome. If this is your first time engaging with our community, thank you for being here. If you are familiar with us and the work that we are doing, welcome back. Thanks for coming. We certainly appreciate you and your loyalty to our community. But just real quick, for those who aren't really familiar, I just want to kind of go over who Forte is, why we matter, and the work that we're doing. We, of course, are a nonprofit comprised mostly of alliance of business schools, undergraduate and top graduate business schools, top influential companies, amazing donors and alums, and individuals like you who are just looking for kind of what's next in your career. Forte is putting in the work to offer lots of programs, events, anything, resources, networking opportunities that are designed to help you succeed at your goal and really help give you access to reimagine what's possible with your future and your career. One aspect that I like to talk about, I can drop the link in a moment, is our Forte fellowships, breaking down the barrier of an MBA or the financial reality, really helping, again, to give you not only access and resources, but making sure that you get a good return on investment with your MBA and your future thanks you, and not just your personal professional life, but you're also your bank account. So lots of important work that we're doing here at Forte. We do have a lot of events similar to events like this. You can see that we've had a few over the past couple of months. If you are interested in catching some of those events or any of our past events, I would suggest checking out our YouTube channel. We have hundreds and hundreds of hours of content listed there, hearing from alums, individuals from our team, admissions committee members about the programs we offer, and a lot of resources there, again, depending on where you are in the process or in your MBA journey. If you are someone who is looking to submit applications in this upcoming application cycle, I would invite you to check out our MBA Launch On Demand program. MBA Launch is a flagship application prep program that we've had here at Forte on the pre-MBA team for nearly 15 years, really designed to help you succeed through the application process. The curriculum in the On Demand program is designed for you to go through self-paced, but will break down each of the application components, give you insight to admissions committees, how they're evaluating applications, what they're really looking for, and overall the steps of navigating that application successfully. Let me drop a link here for you. Like I said, that is open now and is designed for anyone who is looking to submit applications in this upcoming cycle. So if your plans are to start your MBA in fall of 2027, and maybe you don't know yet, maybe today's session is going to inspire you greatly to really get started on your application process, please check out our MBA Launch On Demand program. I do want to thank some of our lovely sponsors for today's event. Things like this are not possible without our partnering business schools. They are here because they believe in the work that we're doing and value you as unique candidates to their program as much as they should. And so today you're going to have the opportunity to hear from some alums from these programs here, individuals that are in our network. I do want to let you know if you have questions about anything I've discussed today or about Forte and who we are, webinar, you are welcome to reach out to us at the team at pre-MBA at fortefoundation.org or visit our website. If you have questions throughout today's presentation for our panelists, please use the Q&A feature. We should have time to get to those questions. And we want this to be engaging and fulfilling for you as an individual. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our amazing panelists today and our moderator, TK. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for your time, your talent. We know that this is something that our community is really great of sharing experiences and kind of paying it forward or bringing others along. And so I am excited to listen to your journeys of how and when you decided an MBA was right for you and the valuable impact it has created for your life, that we can hopefully inspire others to really take that step, bet on themselves and get going with it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now. And TK, I'm turning it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. Hi, everyone. My name is TK Andrews. I'm currently a Forte Fab member, so I'm currently on the Forte Alumni Board. So that's something that I'm recently starting and enjoying my current appointment. I am joined here by Marley and Nidhi, and I am super excited to have great conversation with you guys, just giving you a good overview of what MBA adds to your career and to your overall career trajectory. So I'm going to pass it over to Marley just to kind of give us a little brief overview. I'll just say, just for myself, I came from UVA and went to Simon Business School, and I'm currently at Audit and Compliance Manager at Meta. So yeah, turn it over to you, Marley.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone. I'm Marley. So I'm not sure how many participants here are from Canada, but I'm Canadian. I grew up in Ontario, and then I studied civil engineering at McGill University in Montreal. Following that, I worked in Toronto for several years in the real estate development industry and project management roles. And then I decided to do my MBA, and I wanted to go international, so I ended up at IMD in Lausanne. And I'm happy to expand on why I chose IMD a bit later in this call. I then stayed in Lausanne for a couple of years working for a startup, and now I'm actually back in Canada. I'm currently in Vancouver and managing a small sustainability team in an engineering consulting firm.
Lovely. Thanks, Marty. That was an interesting one. I'm also in Vancouver for everyone to also know. My background is, I think I've lived many lifetimes. So yeah, my background is chemical engineering and food. That's how I started my career with. And that was back in India. And I worked with food companies and I worked with Johnson& Johnson Medical. So I moved to healthcare probably then. And then I decided to have a startup of my own. And I ran that startup, bootstrapped it, expanded it, and eventually sold it after a decade. And having been on the startup side of things, I wanted to experience what it's like to be on the finance side of things. And that's what my uh, input of doing an MBA was. And I did my MBA at UBC Sauder School of Business. And post my MBA, I came on the investor side of things. So now I work with a venture capital firm here in Vancouver, and we invest in early stage health tech companies.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for introducing yourself. We still have one person, Joanna, who will be joining us later. So I guess just giving a brief overview of myself. So I also attended and received an MBA as well. I went to the University of Virginia, specifically in media studies, and then later went into finance and strategy from Simon Business School. Currently, I'm in audit and compliance. I started out in nonprofit and really just grateful for the MBA, I think, just for giving me the ability to navigate my career. So I think it's fluidly. So yeah, I guess just diving into the first question of what really started you guys in considering an MBA and how did you guys decide that an MBA was right for you? So Marley, I'll kick it off to you just to kind of get us started.
Sure. I guess I sort of started thinking of an MBA quite early. My older sister did her MBA. She did an international one as well. I think while I was still in my undergrad, and I'd say I sort of started off rejecting the idea of an MBA because I did have, yeah, sort of that example of somebody else doing it and my parents saying, oh, you could do this maybe. And I didn't love that pressure and wanted to make sure I had my own path. But it was always sort of in the back of my mind. I knew she had an amazing experience and it was really pivotal for her. But I thought to myself, okay, I only want to do an MBA if I have my own reasons for doing it. So I'm gonna, plow ahead, keep going with my career, and see if there is a point where it feels like it's something for me. And so, yeah, I mentioned before that I was working in the real estate development industry. I was in project management type of roles, and I found that I really loved so many aspects of my job. I really liked sort of the business components of it, the leadership components of it. But I wasn't necessarily passionate about becoming an expert in that industry, and I didn't really want that to define me. So I sort of hit this point where I thought, okay, I'd really like to invest in my transferable skill set because I love what I'm doing and I want to be able to pivot it to other industries. And I was just sort of waiting for a catalyst, and I guess my timing, it so happened to be that COVID was that catalyst. It hit, all my plans were canceled, and it gave me time to study for the GMAT. So sometimes, yeah, it was just sort of something in my mind for quite a bit of time, and then I just sort of needed that final little push to go for it. And yeah, I think it was really that drive for investing in the transferable skill set that pushed me to go for it.
Yeah. Happy that you were pushed in the direction that you are, Marley. Nikki, anything for you to add to your experience?
Yeah, I think probably it's a similar experience. I think I thought about doing an MBA probably 10 years ago while I was still working. And I also gave the GMAT, got through, and decided that maybe, I can just wait out a little bit longer. Maybe I'm not there yet. So did not end up doing it. And then when I saw that GLPs were going to disrupt my business, and I knew that, oh, this is the right time to like exit the business, I did not have that what next. And I kind of knew that I wanted to get this fear of being in finance out of me. So yeah, I knew that I wanted to bridge that gap, and I did not know what I wanted to do it. And I thought that MBA might be like the right thing to do. And when I started researching for schools, this is what exactly I was looking for. What is it that I can do that bridges the gap between engineering, startup innovation, and funding? So yeah, that's my journey.
Thank you for providing that clarity. And I guess just to add to the story, I was similar in the sense of I kind of knew what I wanted to do within my career, but I wasn't quite sure how to fully take those transferable skills and really just put it into practice and really execute. So I think that was something that I wanted to understand. And coming from the nonprofit perspective, I'm sure we can all understand wearing many hats. You're oftentimes thrown into projects. And so, wanting to add that context, I think the MBA does allow you to get that skill set and educational background that'll allow you to add more, I guess, concretely to some of those conversations. So yeah, just steering us along. I guess the next question that I kind of wanted to focus on were what were some of the most important and impactful experiences that you guys may have had in your MBA experience? I know for me it was leadership roles. So does anyone have anything that they would like to share just to sort of give a little well-rounded experience for those that are thinking about joining?
Sure. Um, Oh, there were many things that were quite impactful in the program. I'd say just the act of putting yourself outside of your comfort zone, moving away, being immersed by a group that's, so diverse. It comes with such impressive backgrounds. I think later we'll touch on imposter syndrome a little bit. It's this big experience, really putting yourself out of your comfort zone, and I think that has huge, huge impact. And ends up being, I guess, something that's quite, high risk, high reward, I would say. I also, similar to you, TK, really valued the leadership focus of my MBA program. We had, very specific leadership streams, and we're put in all sorts of, challenging group dynamics, and had to really do a lot of like self-reflection and some, real challenging exercises to better understand, our leadership styles and how we work in, challenging situations. And I think that's, those are some of the most challenging parts of the MBA, but where I got, the most value for them. And then also, I guess, specifically to my time at IMD, something that was really impactful for me is the components of the program that had hands-on experience. So as part of our program, we had some experience working alongside startups at the beginning of the program. And then later we had an international consulting project where we were working with larger organizations and really getting to focus on that like real hands-on experience, trying to make actual meaningful impact for a company. While sort of pulling together all of your learnings from the MBA was a really fantastic experience and really helped sort of take the classroom learnings and apply it in real life scenarios.
Yeah, I think I would echo the leadership challenges that we had and group dynamics, of course, because I think the MBA forces you to work with different people, in different courses, and it's not the same. You don't get to work with the people you like, you get to work with everyone. And I think that probably teaches you so much about yourself and so much about others. I think you end up making your best friends in that process, and also future coworkers. So I think that was interesting. And as Marty alluded to, some of the international aspects of the MBA, even for me at Sauder, were like very interesting. We got to work with a startup in Singapore. That was interesting. We were working across time zones, and then we were actually there for just 2 weeks, but there was a value add that we could give to the startup, and in the process, like, learn so much about us and learn so much about a domain that we had no experience in. Um, and it also gave me opportunity to like study in different universities. So they're like exchange programs, but also like shorter GNA programs that I was a part of. So yeah, I spent like 2 weeks in Oxford. That was exciting. Again, doing a subject that probably I would never do. Behavioral economics was not my forte, but yeah, that was interesting to do. Gave me a lot of perspective about an aspect of psychology that I wasn't aware of. And again, yeah, worked with students across the board during a Yale course, which was again interesting to have a group where one person is in Australia, one is in the East Coast, one is in somewhere in Europe, and I'm in Pacific time. So yeah, it was super interesting, very diverse group of people that you work with, and I think that's like a learning that you can't get anywhere else, I guess.
And I guess just to echo some of the same sentiments, I had a similar experience as well. I think for me, the most, I guess, impactful portion of my experience in the MBA was probably the case competitions. I think just working under pressure is already intense. But then again, as you mentioned, working across different dynamics and with different people, it adds just another layer of difficulty. And so happy to hear you guys kind of echo some of those sentiments for everyone to just kind of get a good idea of what the experience will be like. So I guess I'm just wanting to move the conversation a little bit more forward. This may be a little bit touchy for Marley since she was in COVID, but did it meet your expectations in terms of the MBA experience? And I guess what did you like most about your MBA program?
Yeah, I feel like actually because I did my MBA in COVID, I had really low expectations. And it ended up far exceeding it. I was really lucky that our whole program was in person, so it was fantastic. But yeah, I did put a lot of work into, selecting a program that's right for me. I think the amazing thing about MBAs is that there is such diversity in the offerings out there. And you really can find a program that's well suited to you. So some of the things that personally I valued and I looked for, and the reasons why I chose IMD and the reasons why it met my expectations, were it was a smaller class size. We were 90 something, and so we really had the opportunity to get to know everybody in the class. It was this, as we all mentioned and how much we valued, it was a really diverse group of people from all different geographies, from all different professional backgrounds. Just it was amazing sort of bringing together this small group from all over the world and putting us in this in this moment where we got to focus purely on being there, being present, and getting the most out of the program. I also found that the average age varies quite a bit depending on the program that you choose. Mine was a slightly more mature class, and what I liked about that is it aligned with me a bit more because as I had mentioned in my earlier introductions, I really wanted to sort of wait in my career until I had until I knew what I wanted to get out of the MBA. And so I found that a lot of my classmates had that as well. It wasn't really used as just a, okay, I'm going to just, sort of continue my education and do this right away, which I know works for some people. But for me, I really wanted to sort of build that experience first. And most of my classmates had that as well. And I think it was just so interesting having, the value and the insights from all of their diverse experiences as well. And then, yeah, it's just a great program with great structure, amazing professors that really loved the hands-on experience. So it far exceeded all expectations. So it's an amazing year.
Yeah, I think I probably echo some of the things that Maria alluded to. Yeah, the diversity of the group, just not in terms of backgrounds, but also like the age bracket. And again, I also took like more than a decade to go back to school. So yeah, I resonate with what you just said. But yeah, besides those things, again, I was also very mindful of what program I'm picking and why. UBC is known to be a university. That university is known for research. So part of what I wanted to do was, and there are a lot of programs where research to start up bridging that gap is easier within the university because there are like programs that support that. And part of the reason I wanted to do the MBA was to be a part of that ecosystem. And yeah, I think a very valuable thing that the MBA did for me was to make those actual industry connections. Yeah, for fun fact, I think I never applied for a job. I just met people who I was going to work with in organically through some of these connections within my school. And yeah, just they just ended up saying, yeah, when do you finish? And like, let's start. So yeah, I think yeah, that was very valuable. And I think I really feel that the expectations I had about, being hands-on with the startup ecosystem, getting to know people, being able to be in the same room as people I look forward to meeting. Yeah, that I think the MBA did for me. So I think I value that a lot.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and I think also just to kind of echo similar things, it sounds like Marley and I went to similar programs. My program at Simon was about 100 or so. And I think that choosing the size or the program relative to, whatever it is that you're wanting from the experience is important. And so whether that be like a traditional pros cons list or some sort of litmus test of, what the reason is for why you're going into the MBA, I think putting that level of intention into the pre-work before deciding to apply is more important than anything to ensure that you get what you want from the experience. And in doing so, you'll have a great career trajectory based off of that. And speaking of about a career trajectory, wanting to kind of go back to Nidhi and Marley, just to kind of give us a little bit more I guess, context on how the MBA has helped you in building that career trajectory for yourself and, have the opportunities opened up in a way that you feel wouldn't have been possible without the MBA and really just sharing that with everyone.
Nidhi, would you like to go first now? I've been taking the first
Yeah,
spot. Go ahead.
yeah, I'll let
Swap.
Sure,
Nidhi.
yeah, sure, I could do that. Yeah, I think as some of the things that I've just shared that yeah, it gave me an opportunity to just be around people who I wanted to be around. Um, and again, I pivoted quite like almost in the opposite side of the table from being a founder to being an investor. I think that change was easier during like after the MBA because MBA gave me some skill sets that I needed specifically for that. There were courses which were simulating like building your own startup, which were helpful, but there was CDL where you look at deep tech startups and you evaluate those startups like an investor. And what was good about my program was that I actually got to be in rooms where I'm pitching to an investor as an investor, and the person judging me is actually like a partner at a venture firm. So the feedback was very real. Um, the experience was very real, and the consequences were very real because these were actual startups you were working with. You were really working with people that were in the industry doing things, and your memos were actually going back to both investors and startups. So I think the consequences were very real, and it wasn't a simulation anymore. It was you actually doing the work. So I think that was very impactful for me in terms of like honing on that skill set that was required to think like an investor. So yeah, it helped me make that pivot very easily, and I felt like I did more work in the MBA, and when I actually got into the role that I was acting during the MBA, think it was much easier. And it felt like this is that I've done this so many times, so this is easy. So I think that pivot was very easy because like literally the MBA simulated it for me in a safe space where I could make mistakes, I could go back and lean on some people and learn better. But yeah, like actually learn the skill. So I think that was priceless.
Yeah, Nidhi, thank you for adding that. I think that's important, mentioning almost like the feedback loop that you get from the MBA system, and how you're able to utilize it to the best of your ability while you're a student. Marley, would you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I think I really agree that so much of um, what you gain is this confidence to take on new opportunities and really trust in those transferable skills. And I love what Nidhi said about how you're in this really safe space to try that during the MBA. And I'd say during my program, we talked a lot about this, like the triple jump, we called it. So there were three different major jumps that you could make post MBA: role, industry, or geography. And often it was sort of said, if there's one that's really a priority for you, for example, if you really want to move geographies, maybe don't expect to have a drastic change in your role or in your industry. Like it could be a bit more lateral, but if your priority is getting to a new geography, you can prioritize that. And the more, if you want to make the single, double, or triple jump, it sort of gets increasingly challenging. But I do think the MBA puts you in this unique position where it is possible to make that triple jump, or, it's possible to just make one of those if one is a big priority to you. And so, yeah, that, for example, is something that was available to me. I took a bit of an unconventional path from my MBA and joined a startup afterwards, but I really saw it that way of, wow, this is an opportunity to change all three of these aspects of my career. When could I possibly do this if it weren't for the MBA? And I just found it was an incredible opportunity to, again, put myself out of my comfort zone, really sort of push that transferable skill set, and see how, yeah, I can apply myself in a completely different setting. So I think that's just hugely valuable, and would be very, very challenging to do without something like the MBA to support that. And then, yeah, I think it just allows you to continue sort of taking a different approach to problems and bringing your unique perspective to, whatever kind of role you end up in.
Yes, thank you, ladies, for sharing. And I'll definitely echo similar sentiments as well. I similarly jumped from nonprofit into financial services, and then from financial services into tech. And honestly, I'll just say like the MBA has definitely grounded me in getting up to speed just across different industries as I'm either adopting either the language or really just learning more about the work culture and the people. So again, I think that throwing yourself into the MBA journey and career path, it really just opens up your ability to take on the volatility that we'll see probably in our economic markets. And I see that we have Joanna joining also. So hi, Joanna. Give her time to get logged on. But yeah, so really just thanks guys for continuing on in the conversation. Joanna, thank you for joining. Want to give you
Thank
time to
you.
get connected.
Thank you. So sorry, I'm so late. I had a last minute meeting, so had to prioritize that, but I'm so happy I get to be a part of this. And yeah, nice to meet everyone.
Yes, and back to meeting the demands of whatever you're going to encounter is a live action example of that. So, and moving on, I'll let Joanna hear the next conversation, and I'll give her time to kind of start us. So, I guess in the beginning of when you first started thinking about adding an MBA to your toolkit, what kind of value and career did you see in the future of getting an MBA, and how did you see that? Adding to the space of what you could bring to the corporate space. And I'm curious just to know, Nidhi or perhaps Marley, if you want to jump in. Just how do you think that the MBA really helped you in continuing to add value throughout your career, and where do you think you'll see yourself probably in the future of your career?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll let you go first, Sandy.
Okay. Okay. I think apart from the skill set that you learn during the MBA, I think the biggest value actually comes from the people you meet during the program. Not just your own cohort, but also like professors, and I think they're great connections. But yeah, you meet a diverse set of people, and they go out in the world doing their diverse set of things, and you have this connection with them because you work together in stressful situations without sleep, hungry, under time pressure. I think the kind of bonds you make is like phenomenal. And I think it's been only 1.5 years since I finished my program, but I still feel that whenever we need anything, we go back to that group and we rely so much on them. And within this past 1 year or so, I've seen like some of us wanted to like change jobs, we're not happy with the roles. And the same group of people actually helped us. They were our not just our cheerleaders, but like our references, are champions within their own organizations. So I think the most valuable thing for me, apart from the skills that I learned, of course, that I think I take away from the MBA is the bonds that I formed within the group and even professors. Like to this day, wherever I go, like even in the morning, I was dropping my car to the service station. I walked out and I saw my professor in a coffee shop, and we had ended up having like a amazing chat. And again, these are industry champions, they know people within the industry. They will be the ones who would support you even years after. So I think that for me personally was the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think the value of the network is so valuable and will continue to be valuable throughout our careers. I also think, another value is I'll just continue to sort of use those MBA perspectives and have more confidence in the thoughts that I bring as a result of my MBA. So for example, I think I've become much less intimidated to sort of challenge the status quo or, sort of ask the uncomfortable questions. I currently work with a group of engineers, and a lot of them, are often very, very aligned. And I do find myself sort of prodding difficult questions or sort of challenging things. And then even sometimes, subconsciously, I don't necessarily realize I'm doing it, but somebody will, tell me that they appreciate that I approach something differently. And so I think it's really, yeah, it's sort of this pivotal point that, almost gives you permission or allows you to, sort of encourages you to step out of that comfort zone and think about things a bit differently, which I think is incredible. I'd also say for me, the MBA, we spent a lot of time really sort of reflecting on our values and the things that we look for in our careers. And so I think that's something that can stick with us as well. So sort of at every, turning point in your career, you can really think back to those challenging exercises that you went through during your MBA and reflect on, what is it that I'm really looking for? And for me, it gave me a lot of insights of like, these are the kinds of people that I want to work with. These are the types of challenges that I want to tackle in my roles. And it's kind of this good opportunity to sort of reset and think back to, all that hard work we put in that year. It can continue to add value as we move forward.
Yeah. Thanks, Nidhi and Marley, for that. Um, for me, I think tangibly, it was an opportunity to pivot, right? So my background is in HR, have worked in so many different industries, like prior to business school. Um, but I'd kind of hit a professional development wall, and I was really tired of honestly HR in general. And I was like, what else is out there for me? I've gained such like valuable skills. Like, what else can I do with this? So the MBA gave me an opportunity to pivot tangibly, and I think maybe less tangibly, like it was a multiplier, right? So allowed me to build on the skills that I have. But to Marley's point, it also gave me the confidence to be able to speak to certain things, but also like, I don't know, just feel like what I'm saying is important, that I have like valuable things to add onto a team. when I'm a part of a team. And so being in consulting, I think, one of the things that I find myself constantly doing is being seen as like the subject matter expert. It's like me, like, okay, so I'm essentially being what's the word? Being being allowed the opportunity to be able to tell my clients when I think that we should kind of pivot, or if I think that we should do things this way versus that way. And it's like, oh, okay, they're gonna listen to me, right? Like they're going to, not all the time, okay, clients aren't always easy, but essentially, being in this position allows me to be able to have that confidence. In this position, I mean, like with an MBA, allows me to have the confidence that like I know what I'm talking about. I at least can speak to some things, not everything. I'm still learning because I've only been out of business school. I think similar to Nidhi, graduated in 2025 June, so still very much learning. But at least I have like a battery in my back to be able to, like, I have the tools. I have the basic tools to be able to be successful and have the confidence to speak to what I need to speak to, but also, yeah, like be able to do this job in an effective way. So, yeah, think that that's what the MBA brought in terms of value for me.
Thank you, ladies. And I guess I wanted to kind of bring it all into purpose for everyone is I'm hearing echoes and themes of a mentor of mine who one time told me, just remember they paid you to have a voice and an opinion. So that's just kind of the echo theme that I'm hearing across the women that we have on our panel today. So I guess in wrapping up our discussion, I don't want to get too over time here. What advice would you give to women who are currently considering an MBA? And I guess in this idea of being intimidated and potentially feeling some level of imposter syndrome, we're now hearing that women are feeling empowered to give their opinion. So, is there anything advice-wise that you would want to give everyone as parting words? I'll kick it over to
Oh, sorry.
Marley.
Sure, I am happy to start. So first of all, I would say it's very, very valid to feel imposter syndrome. I think it will happen as you're applying for your MBA, as you're interviewing, as you start it through the program after. It's a really tough thing to just put in the background. Um, you do find that, many of my classmates really showed up and wanted to prove their intelligence and be the loudest voice in the room. And I even remember at the very beginning of the program, I had a funny situation where I was in my first working group and we were talking about, the things that we value in a team and value in leadership. And I said, I really value humility. And one of my teammates said, I think humility is a sign of weakness. Like, oh, okay. And I sort of, shriveled up when I heard something like that. So it's going to be there. But I think, through going through these challenging situations and being in these really different group dynamics where people bring all different sorts of values and perspectives, that's what makes a great leader. It really forces you to focus on your unique self, what you do best, what you can bring to the table, how you can show up in your unique way. And you just really have to work on letting that shine through and not trying to adapt to anybody else. And I'd say, that's especially important going into the application process for anybody here. You don't want to give them what you think they're looking for. The best you can do is, be yourself, show your true self. And I really think that gives you the best chance in getting into the MBA, being successful through it, and as well as afterwards.
Yeah, I would say the biggest one for me is know your why. And I think it's okay if your plans for how your career will look like change throughout the process. And I know so many people where that happened. It happened for me, but my why never really changed. I wanted to gain the toolbox to be able to be successful, to have a trajectory, maybe hopefully one day leading me to an executive position um, somewhere, right? Not really knowing exactly where, just a place where I felt challenged, a place where I felt I could bring value, where my voice mattered. Um, So my why stayed the same, but like in terms of what I wanted to be, like the specific career choice, you know, that actually changed. And I know that that's the case for so many people, and that's okay if that happens. Just focus on your why. And I think that that honestly, hopefully, it did for me, will kind of carry you through that application process. So as you're walking through and thinking through the questions, like really just dig deep. And to Marley's point, like be true to yourself. Like don't try to think about the perfect profile that they're looking for. Like because it's going to come through. I think like the authentic, like you can come off as genuine and it will obviously show. And a lot of times too, if you're trying to be somebody else, that also comes through because it might sound very regurgitated, so it's really important to stick to who you are. Yeah, and really just let that lead you and guide you as you answer those questions. And there are a lot of questions, so it might get kind of exhausting, but stick to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it probably was a bigger change for me because I mean, I changed geographies and it was a big cultural change as well. I did not grow up in North America. I was not, um, I didn't work ever in North America. I mean, I had worked in Europe before, but it was a sea change like in everything. I was, I think, on an average, a bit older than the rest of the cohort. So I had so many mental barriers to like skip and jump, and I felt like maybe I don't belong here. Am I trying to be someone that I'm not? But I think the MBA forces you in many ways to sort of come out of your shell and participate and have a voice. And it's kind of forced me because you have participation scores. So, you have to put your hand up and have an opinion. And I think during that process of doing that over a year, I didn't even realize how subconsciously I just became confident about voicing my opinion. And I think it came very organically. I don't think I had to push it. But yeah, I think as women, I think we always feel like we have to be someone else to fit in the room. I don't know why that is, and surprisingly, it wasn't that for me when I was applying for the course because, as everyone said, try to be yourself. When we were a part of my application process was submitting a video interview, a video of your answering a question. So which I think I spoke to a bunch of people. I'm like, well, how did you do that? And they were like, switched on my laptop in front camera and I recorded it. And I actually made a video because part of what I did before was as fun. I like to like edit videos and shoot stuff. Uh, and I took filmmaking and I did a course in it. So I'm like, I'm gonna actually make a full film about it. And then I submitted and I felt like maybe I did something wrong because I wasn't supposed to do it. And this is a business school and I should have been serious stuff, but I was myself. Anyways, that kind of like the confidence started here when I saw the change and how the culture was so different. It was like way below here, but yeah, I had to organically. I slowly built it up to where I am right now, and again, ended up in an industry which is again male dominated, and having a voice, being on boards with people who've been doing this for 40 years is very intimidating, and I still feel that I challenge. I have to do that mental jumping of like I can say this and it doesn't sound stupid and you can voice it out. But I think that mental math keeps going on. But I push myself to be who I am and I don't try to change it. But I think a huge shout out goes to the forcing of sharing our opinions that happened during the MBA.
Thank you so much. I really just want to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to really just give everyone here a great overview of why an MBA is a great career multiplier. Thank you, Joanna, for adding that in. And I just wanted to open it up to anyone who may have questions. I'm not sure if we see anyone down at the bottom that has a few questions.
There are a bunch in the
Yeah.
Q&A, it looks like.
Okay. Let's see. Looks like we have a few questions. I'm not seeing the Q&A. Or maybe
I can help if
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
see it if I can be helpful. Want me to read the first one while you're looking for it,
Oh, I
TK?
see it now. It's a
Sure.
little hidden.
Okay, here I can read off the first one.
Okay.
Maybe, and somebody else might be better equipped to answer this than myself. It's how do you foresee AI impacting the supply and demand of folk for an MBA by hiring firms? What skills takeaways from an MBA program will retain their value on the job market? Which ones might see their value erode or increase?
Hmm.
Do you mind if I take this one?
Sure.
Okay. Again, this is coming from the lens of someone who deals with early stage startups and startups because they're so tight on funding, they're always the first ones to hire and fire. So maybe I might be able to answer this one. Um, I think when we look at what skills can AI replace for you, I think those are repeatable skills um, that require less complex reasoning and does not require people management. And what we've been talking throughout this conversation is that what the MBA pushes you to do is hone on these human skills, which AI is not going to get anywhere near that yet. But yeah, if there's a repeatable skill, like everyone knows that coding and being able to write code is not a skill set anymore because you can vibe code it. So yeah, that kind of skill set might not be very valuable, but human skills will still remain because you still have to manage people. And even if you reduce the number of people in your teams using AI, and now you're doing these repeatable, boring tasks, which were easy to automate, and you can like make a structure and an SOP and throw it in a code, and then those can be done by agents. You still need to manage people, relationships, either within the organization or with your customers or your investors. So that's not a skill set that's going anywhere. And I think that's what MBA does for you. If anyone wants
Yeah.
to add anything else.
Yeah, no, I'll echo everything that you just said. I had a client. So I'm in healthcare, clinical modernization. That's my practice. And I had a healthcare finance client, and one of the things that they were trying to solve for was sort of how AI was going to impact, their future. And essentially, I mean, I think the answer to that is even in industries or positions like finance, right? Like that is going to be a huge focus. Management, people skills, that's going to be the focus. That's the future, right? So technical skills are great. Of course, like continue to upskill and all of that, but what they call soft skills, which I think have historically been underutilized and not as emphasized, are going to be the focus. So can you manage? Do you know how to develop people and sort of like be able to interact with people? Those are the skills that are important.
Mm.
So especially as you go up in management, that's going to be super important as well. So yeah, just underlining what Nidhi said in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely echo similar sentiments. I would say that I think it's just going to change how we do our job potentially. I don't think it's going to necessarily impact in the same ways across the industries. I think there will be like again a natural need for us to develop AI use within our regular role, but I think that we'll see that those who have MBAs use it differently and interact differently with it. So I think that'll naturally come through. And then, of course, you'll also have your soft skills as well that kind of have you standing out and, again, creating that level of transferability that you wouldn't have had without the MBA. And yeah, I agree. We do have an additional question here where I see now in the Q&A, how do you decide the right time to get an MBA? And is there a strong argument for doing it early in your career? What factors should you be weighing in on during this decision? Joanna, I'm not sure if you want to chime in, or Nidhi or Marley. That seems like a good question to just kind of address. I'll start just from my perspective. I started 2 years after starting my career. So I went rarely in the, I guess beginning stages of my career, and I think that it changed the trajectory exponentially. I think it gave me a little bit more of a rubric for what I wanted to do. I went in knowing that I wanted to get an MBA, but not necessarily knowing exactly what specific specialization. And being that I was in a nonprofit, I was able to just kind of touch different pieces and get an idea of everything. So I essentially created my own rotational program. So yeah, I definitely think it changed my career and trajectory, and I think it made it a little bit more adaptable. But I'll hand it off to someone else who may have had a similar experience.
Mine was not similar.
Okay, yeah.
Um, like I mentioned, I was an HR professional, worked about 6, 7 years in HR before deciding to get my MBA. So similar to Nidhi, I was probably on the older side as well. I think in terms of MBA, but not for my specific program. I think my specific program doesn't tend to be super, super young because anyone who knows anything about Foster, it's very family oriented. A lot of my classmates had children, were married. Um, Not my case, but that was the case for a lot of my classmates. So all that to say, I felt perfectly aligned, early 30s, like all good. But I would say in that case, like it took me about like 2 years, I would say. So I did the Forte, it was like the Forte pre-MBA program or something to that effect. Sarah, I see you. I saw her name and I was like, looks so familiar. So actually met her when I did that program, which was about like maybe a year and a half, 2 years before I actually submitted my application. Not clear on the dates. She can, correct me if I'm wrong in that aspect, but I did start to think about it about 2 years before I actually decided to do it. So did the Forte pre-MBA program, and I did several others. I was a part of a consortium as well. Not sure if it's okay to mention other programs, but yeah, MLT. So like I did several programs to like prepare me for the application, to give me the resources, to provide me more information in terms of programs, industries, like career moves, like the pivot that I was going to do, just more information to make sure I can be risk averse. So for me, gaining all the information I needed, if I was going to completely like uproot my life and change everything, I needed all the information I could get, especially being that I was very much established in my career before going to business school. So that's my story.
I'm not sure if anyone else had a similar story to mine of being relatively green in your career and jumping into an MBA, but we can go on to another question. So we did have a question regarding as someone who is currently in the discovery phase, what is something that we can do every day towards getting ready towards applying? I would just say this is a great time if you're interested in applying to just start doing warm introductions if you have them or people that you may know, just to kind of give you ideas about what they did and the steps they did to prepare. But I will kick it off to someone who feels that they may have another suggestion as well.
I could take that one.
Mm.
I think if you're still in the discovery phase and you're sort of figuring out if this is the right one for me, or this program is the right one for me, or the school is the right one for me, I think it's helpful to reach out to all the alums that you can find on LinkedIn. And I think now it's easier than ever to connect with people. Um, from my experience, I think I was applying to 3 schools and I reached out to a lot of people. I think I carpet bombed DMs, and I said, let's just chat with everyone and see who who aligns with me, which school aligns with me, and who do I kind of vibe with. And I think that was very helpful because it gave me a lot of perspective on what I should be looking for during the MBA, post the MBA, if I wanted to transition, because I was also moving countries and cultures. So I think that was very helpful. So I think talk to as many people as you can, and also a diverse set of people, not the same industry that you're from, but probably industry you want to go to. People who are in the same geography, who've come from a different geography, like have that diverse opinion about what you're getting yourself into. Anyone else wants to add anything?
Just regarding the last question,
Yes.
the marketing business. And I'm so sorry for like not even answering that question regarding early career. I just realized that question was about specifically early career folks going to business school. So my apologies on that. Um,
Yeah, I guess we have a few minutes left. Do we have anyone from Forte who wants to kind of close us out potentially? I think we're kind of wrapping up on the hour.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. Panelists, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your time, energy, motivation, inspiration, transparency, all of the things that you've shared with our lovely attendees today. Attendees, thank you for such great questions. I do want to just give another shout out to all of our amazing partner schools, but specifically the three that have sponsored today's event to make this possible, allowing alums to be here to share their specific experience with you all. I do want to remind you, if you have questions for me or Forte or about our organization, you are welcome to email us at premba@fortefoundation.org or visit us on the website. I've dropped several links throughout today's session in the chat, so feel free to snag those or open those up if you want. Again, I want to remind you that we do have the flagship application prep program. The live cohort is not quite open right now, just given the timeline of where we are in the application process. We are about halfway through for the folks in the 2026 cohort, but our on-demand or self-paced asynchronous version is available. That is on MBA Launch On Demand. Certainly a welcome way to help you get ready, especially if your timeline is hoping to submit applications this fall or early spring to start your MBA in 2027. So with that, I want to again thank everyone, panelists and attendees, for being here and spending your precious time with us today. I know we have a lot going on, but please do let us know if there's any way we can support you on this journey and continue providing resources, insight, advice, or networking opportunities for you. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thanks
you.
all.